Welcome, everyone, to a brand new podcast airing called the Super Nice Danger Bros, where we will talk about all the ways where you can get exploded at work.
Is that a word, exploded? I mean, I think it's a word. I don't know if you...
Of course it's a word. Exploded at work?
Exploded at work.
That's what they called it when I did it yesterday. I was exploded at work.
I mean, I think you're on the right vein of what we're about.
The Super Nice Danger Bros.
We are the evil safety dudes, so,
I have to apologize for my
not close.
Crazy co-host. Welcome to the Super Nice Danger Bros.
The evil safety dudes, and we are a show about all things OSHA and how not to die at work. So, you weren't that far off.
Yeah.
Do you want to change the show name?
To the Super Nice Danger Bros?
That doesn't even make sense. Like Super Nice Safety Bros.
Well, I mean, but evil
because you don't like
dudes.
the fact that
I don't like
we're
that
evil.
we're called the evil safety
but it's not that
dudes.
we're really evil. It's that the workers, when they see safety, they treat us like we're
They
evil.
do.
Because we're there to tell them what they're doing is wrong, and get them to follow rules, and so. So they treat us evil.
And
so
that's something I've always agreed with, though, because those people they're the professionals. Like, they actually know their job better than I do, and here I am to tell them what they're doing wrong. So, I mean, I get it. I understand. But at the same time, I would like to have them go home safely and not die.
But if we were the what's the opposite of evil? Holy?
Oh, I put super nice.
Super nice.
Right?
That's not quite the opposite of evil.
And then instead of safety, I was like
could
danger.
Be the holy safety saints.
No.
All right, fine.
So you shot down Super Nice Danger Bros who teach people how to die at work.
Yeah, how not to die at work.
Well, no, the Super Nice Danger Bros. They're
like
I get
it.
Us.
I'm getting it now. Okay, so it is in the alternate reality. It's the opposite of us.
Yeah, right.
Everybody loves them.
Yeah.
And when they go to a job site, they teach people how they could die quicker.
More quickly, exactly.
Yeah, they would be loved.
Yeah,
they would be hailed.
They're delighted
as like champions of the world.
But they only last like a few weeks because then they get too excited, and the next job site they get to, they jump off a building.
No,
or
it'd be like that
something.
Mayhem guy from that commercial.
He just never dies.
Or they actually just make other people do it. Like they don't do it. They're like, hey, I noticed you're not wearing a face shield while you're grinding. You could die a lot quicker if you grind on that oxygen settling tank.
Right. Yeah. Let me put this plastic gas can right here for you. There you go.
Yeah. I noticed that you didn't remove all combustible materials 35 feet from your weld, but why don't we move the gas cans about 5 feet from your weld?
Maybe that's what we need to do is like one time we're just gonna record the Super Nice Danger Bros, and
we can do an alternate reality.
Yeah, and we'll just talk about.
We'll have to do sound effects, so how we got like sucked into that, like they switched, like we touched the sacred stone and we swapped realities.
Yeah, but we have to do it all a cappella. We can't actually go get it. So we'll be like,
Definitely. And I think the Super Nice Safety Bros should talk like surfers and stuff. Like,
dude,
yeah, man. What's up? Totally, man.
Right. Dude, Aaron, I love your hair.
We should get back on track here.
Blonde and flowy. To me, this is the track. This is the track we should be on.
We spent a lot of time exploring new podcast ideas. We should just stick to the one we have.
We have a podcast talking about launching podcasts.
That's a good podcast.
Well, everybody, welcome. Aaron has brought me back on track. We are the Evil Safety Dudes. I am AJ Hanscom, joined here in the IBC fort with Aaron Iacino, an OSHA authorized outreach instructor in the general industry.
Are we?
And construction.
Yeah, and today it's more the construction.
For sure.
I get this a lot from our clients. We have a ton of general industry manufacturing, clients, and we have a lot of construction clients.
We have a lot.
And what I do here sometimes is like, you guys got to do stuff for construction safety.
It's like 50% of my job.
but this one, true.
Yeah.
Because it's on trenching and excavation today, by the way. And if you didn't know, they don't normally do that in the food manufacturing plants.
Are you sure?
I haven't been in one where they were actively trenching and making food at the same time.
You just like look back there and they got the auto pack, and then at the same time they've got the trencher and the Mini X like right there.
Yeah, no, it hasn't happened. So I mean, maybe on an addition outside or something, or some kind of emergency.
Just out there with the paper.
Even
hat
when
on.
they're adding a new line, they don't trench.
And you know what? Someone would still complain that they're not like wearing those little paper gloves. They'd be like, I see him making my food and they're not wearing gloves. I see him digging that trench. He's not wearing those little gloves.
All right. So we are talking about trenching and excavation. And what's new, AJ? Personal update time.
Oh, super nerdy update. Over Christmas.
The whole intro was nerdy enough.
Yeah. Over Christmas, I got a new Warhammer army. And I've kind of like.
What does that mean?
So. Warhammer, it's Warhammer 40K, and you collect these little teeny tiny miniatures and you paint them. It's like it's like the nerdiest. And
you got a whole army of them?
I got like 3 armies. Well, I had 3. Now I have 4 armies.
Like how many is in an army?
Well, you can keep them small, but nobody ever does. It's just like a horrible, horrible place that you never want to go.
Like 15 miniatures? Or are you talking like 30? What are you talking about?
I think we should just stay away from the numbers because it's like thousands of miniatures. And
you got thousands of miniatures for Christmas?
Well, no, not for Christmas. No, for Christmas though. I did. I got. Somebody didn't know. They were like, "Oh, AJ, he plays this Warhammer game. I'm gonna buy him some of these things." They actually got me some really cool sets, and it's for an army I didn't have, and now I want to keep them and add more to that army.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, so it's not a good place to be, but it was exciting. It was all right. How about you? Anything? Any new updates? Personal stuff?
Well, along that, I got cool new toys too.
Yeah.
I got a deep tissue percussion massager. It's basically a power tool that you use on your body.
That sounds
with
painful.
a brushless motor, just
percussion
like my
massager.
Makita. It's not. I mean, if you hate massage, it's painful for you. I'm a guy who likes like stick your elbow into my muscle. I'm already like that, so it's just cool. I like it. It's It's not as good as a masseuse who knows what they're doing.
Okay.
But it's
for
good.
being something that's just handheld that anybody could use. It actually feels
awesome.
pretty good.
It. Yeah,
that's
like
awesome.
It. Yeah,
that's good.
It loosens up the knots and stuff. And I also got.
Oh jeez. What's up?
A new stun gun pen.
Stun gun pen,
which is awesome.
I have a pen.
Yeah.
I have an apple. No, we're not going to do that today.
So I remember that, but anyway, yeah.
Apple pen.
I got new toys too, so I'm excited about that. But
dude, that little thing was awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. No batteries, you just plug it in with your cell phone charger, and you know what's stupid though, is it's called a stun gun, but it's not a gun. The tasers are what shoot the probes, like law enforcement use.
Sure.
And they're not called stun guns; they're called tasers. But the things who don't shoot are called guns.
That is.
It's weird. It confuses a lot of people.
Well, and then the other thing is like Taser's a specific brand, and so anytime anybody sees anything that has the little arc on it, they're like, "Oh, cool Taser!" And you're like,
Taser
this
gets
isn't
really
actually
mad
a Taser.
about that, by the way.
Yeah.
As a Taser instructor, like it's in our curriculum. We teach the difference.
Well, I mean, I think it's important because cool Taser. It's not a Taser. This is actually a stun gun made by some other company.
Right. So new toys, but as far as what we're talking about today, trenching and excavation.
Oh, yeah, we have a topic we're actually supposed to stick to.
And it's a serious one. We don't get serious here too often, but, man, trenching, it's like when those things come down on you.
Yeah. Every time you're in a trench should be a life or death situation.
It should be, but.
Should be.
Let's start off with a pet peeve, just because. So we're training people. This is pet peeve.
We were supposed to get this out of our systems, remember, a couple podcasts ago.
Never as a safety guy.
That's true.
But I do a really good, thorough job doing an awesome course. I put time into this course. I didn't pencil whip it. I pulled out all the stops, the props, hands-on, buzz groups, great custom curriculum, like really made it relevant and pertinent. I just put my love and my heart into this course, and I train these guys on trenching and excavation, and they know this stuff when they leave that room.
You drilled them, you questioned them, you reviewed with them.
We made them competent by like doing actual hands-on soil analysis, like actually running equipment. Like they got it, right?
Right.
Like
they know what's up.
I know they know it because I made them show it to me.
Cool. So
like physically.
What's a pet peeve? What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
Then next week I'm driving around in my car and I see a trench and I look in it. It's over 5 feet deep.
Mm-hmm.
There's no shoring, benching, or sloping. No employee protection, basically.
Right.
And I look at the company and it's the people I just trained.
Oh, excellent. Perfect.
Pet peeve.
It does. It honestly drives me crazy.
You know it's wrong. You know you could die, but you still break all the employee protection and the trench rules.
And that's what's ridiculous. I know we like to do case studies right away at the beginning.
You got any?
I do. Just recently here, it was right before Christmas. It was real heartbreaking, real local, actually, because we're over here in Sioux City, but just in Rapid City. I mean, not too far away, a couple hours from us. Trench collapsed.
8 hours?
It's only a 6-hour drive.
Okay, all right.
But it was actually just residential construction.
Okay.
It was a 5-foot trench, so not even that deep. And it was just some guys working in this trench with no shoring and no sloping, so no cave-in protection. And it collapsed, and the one guy managed to get freed, and the other guy, he passed away.
That sucks.
Yep.
How old was he, do you know?
I don't know.
We had one, a real local one.
More local.
Yeah.
Much more local.
Okay, I'll go with more local. Sergeant Bluff, Iowa, November 16th.
Oof.
So, Paul J., just going into this, if this is a friend or family member, our condolences. We wish this would never happen to anybody. But
Very
it's
much.
part of the Evil Safety Dudes deal to talk about local incidents to make it real for people. Because when it's something real and local, it hits home more, and people
Right.
realize that it is real.
And,
It's not some fictitious, OSHA scary boogeyman story.
Yeah.
It's a real thing that happens to real people.
Well, it's easy to kind of blow it off when you're like, oh, yeah, 10 years ago, this one guy who you've never heard of, thousands of miles
on
away.
the East Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different when you say, hey, just a couple months ago, this
Yeah,
person that
Sergeant
you probably
Bluff,
know
Iowa
somebody that knows this
It's
person.
basically Sioux City.
Yeah.
30 years old. He survived though, but
that's good,
On the
actually.
news report, it says it was a 7-foot trench, and but his head was out, and they said
okay.
the chief down there on the news report said they freed him 2 hours and 20 minutes after the call,
Oof.
which is a long time to be in there, and it's just amazing he survived.
Yeah.
Because for those of you who don't know, even though your head is out of the dirt, it doesn't mean you're gonna breathe.
No.
Can you explain that, AJ?
Well, yeah, I mean,
if my head is in fresh air,
Right.
there's no dirt covering it,
Right.
how could I not breathe?
Well, it's the whole idea of like the way an anaconda kills people is that
Okay.
constriction. So you have all this weight and all this pressure pushing down on your
Like
chest.
5 pounds?
Yeah, like 5 pounds. Like
No, seriously, throw some
So in our local area,
close-ish number.
close-ish, and different soil
Approximate.
analysis are different all over the country. But in our area, they said it's like 2,200 pounds per cubic yard of soil.
That's
So
crazy.
It's about a ton
Right.
in a 3-foot by 3-foot by 3-foot block. So about a ton.
And on a 7-foot trench, that's more than that.
Well, yeah, but I'm
So it's
assuming
like 2
because
of
his head
those.
was out, maybe he probably took a little horizontal jaunt as it came down, and it buried him partially, I'm guessing, because there's no way he made it out vertical.
It was confusing to me because they said it was 7 foot, but his head's out. So I'm thinking this guy's 8 foot tall, or he wasn't standing on the bottom of it.
Well, no,
Maybe he was
if
standing
went,
on something in the trench, kind of. I
well,
don't
like
know.
if it fell at him and he traveled horizontally, and so it covered him.
He's
this
doing
way.
finger motions to me, but I still don't understand what he's saying.
So he ran like left, right? So
Okay.
here he is, and the trench falls, and so he goes this way, and so then the collapse covers him. Now his head is hanging out of the pile.
A 7-foot deep trench, though, and your head is a foot out of it.
So yeah, so like if it fell like this and it covered me.
Let's just not waste time on helping
head
me
was- my
understand
head
your
was over
theory
here.
because it's not happening. But
it makes sense.
But at any rate,
In any rate, he had all this weight and all this pressure, and it is actually, I mean, extremely
A ton of-
thankful. It's amazing
ton
that he lived.
on your chest.
Yeah.
So when you try to breathe out, it's not working.
Well,
not
you can breathe
pushing-
out. You just can't breathe back in.
Yeah. You're right. When you try to inhale, that would cause
Yeah.
your chest to push out, and you're not pushing a ton of dirt off you
No,
to
you are
open up
not.
your lungs.
Exactly.
So instead, that weight is pushing in your chest,
Yep.
which is causing your air to leave your lungs, and
And
you
then
can't
that's
get
it.
more air in.
Yeah, you just
So-
suffocate.
They must have been constantly trying to scoop that dirt out and maybe relieve that pressure.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe the way it settled, maybe he just kind of had like just enough space around himself to
Right.
just keep breathing. Or
People could suffer bone breaks
it's
too.
honestly really lucky.
When that wall that of tons of dirt smashes into your body and your arms get pinned in weird way, you could break bones.
Well, in that safety video we got, it's an 8-foot wide, 6-foot tall section falls down. They said it was like 20 tons.
Yeah, it was like 10 cubic tons or something.
Yeah, something crazy. And it was
It's
just
a lot of
or
weight.
20,000 pounds. Yeah, 10 tons.
It's a ton of weight, and it happens. I mean, well, the walls, they break in, they slide in.
Mhm.
If it's a class C soil, type C soil, the whole part will come in. If it's a cohesive soil, and especially how many times have we seen them put the spoil pile, the dirt that you dig out, like right on top.
Right on top.
Which puts weight on the wall to make it want to come in on you.
Well, so before we just start doing those, I want to just do like a punch list style thing. You want to do that with me real quick?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, so this is one of my big reviews that I do with my students, and so I'm going to do this with Aaron. It's like some of the basic things you have to know, and I get excited. So if I miss any, I want you to follow back up with me and say, hey, these are the basic things I want to make sure you know.
You have to know how to jump out quick if the wall comes down, number one.
Number one, you got to jump faster than the wall can fall. Got it.
And we're being sarcastic because that's not a safety plan.
Right. So one of the first rules I always talk about with people is there's 2 4-foot rules.
Okay.
Do you remember either of the 4-foot rules?
All right, so...
I got them both, so it's cool.
One of them is at 4 feet in depth. If you put people in there, you got to have access and egress.
When? Or
at
how
4
far?
feet.
How far apart?
Oh, so that's a different question. So you can't have more than 25 feet of lateral travel to your exit.
So you got to have access and egress within 25 feet of every employee.
If it's 4 feet.
If it's 4 feet.
Yeah.
There's
and then
one more 4-foot.
The other 4 foot, if there's a possibility of an atmospheric hazard, in the near vicinity, you actually got to treat it like perma-required confined space and test the air before you go.
Test the air before you go in if there's
at
a chance
4
of
feet.
atmosphere. Yep.
All right, now let me throw one at you.
Okay.
There's a 5-foot rule.
Ooh. Here's the next question I was going to ask you. The 5-foot rule says that if a trench reaches 5 foot, you have to provide cave-in protection for your employees if a competent person determines so.
Which I didn't think there was that last line. If a competent person, I think it's just mandatory.
Well, so yeah, if you're at 5 foot, you have to provide cave-in protection for employees. If you're under 5 foot, then a competent person must determine whether or not you have to provide it. And so at 5, it's like a must.
Yeah, and what are the 3 employee protection options we have out there?
So for us, we only get 2. Did you know that?
No.
So there's the 3rd.
What do you mean for our area, for our soil type?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm guessing, you're okay.
Shoring,
go for it.
Shoring, benching, and sloping.
Okay, are the 3 options?
Right. But for us, we almost never get into nicer soil, and you can only bench
like cohesive soils.
Yeah,
like
you can only bench
A.
in category C or category B or higher.
So we can't bench this loess soil, which I heard was formed when glaciers came through here and rubbed on granite.
I don't want to hear who's getting rubbed on.
And then the winds blew the granite dust and made the loess hills, and the Germans tried to say loose, but with their accent or whatever, it became loess. I don't know how accurate that is.
Kind of. I mean, that's like one of those neat little folky stories. I like it.
And then I also heard, and I've heard many other people echo this, that our soil type here in Sioux City, there's only one other place on Earth that has this same soil type. Have you heard that?
No.
It's in China.
Really?
Yeah, that has this type of soil.
That's cool.
This loess soil. It's a very unique soil. It's a very unique soil.
Guys, these
type.
podcasts are fun for me because I sit here and I get to listen to some fun stuff I never even heard before.
If you're a safety geek.
We're safety nerds. We ain't geeks.
Okay.
So for what we've got, we almost never get into that type B, and so we don't get to do benching because we usually can't qualify.
Let's explain this. What is shoring?
Okay, so shoring is when you put up protection that's a physical barrier to prevent the cave-in or collapse from striking an employee. So you're talking like trench boxes or plates being held up by hydraulic pressure.
Okay.
And so you've got like literal walls of protection. You've got shoring.
That's my favorite.
I think shoring is probably the best way to go.
I love trench box. I grew up in the desert, Southern California.
I thought you were going to say I grew up in a trench box. And
I grew up in a trench box. Matter of fact, we made homes out of them.
I grew up in a trench box. I love my trench box.
My pacifier was a cigar.
That's rough. That explains the that gruff tone you've always got.
Where I grew up, Palm Springs, California, Coachella Valley, it's below sea level. The ocean used to be there. It's sand.
OSHA used to be there?
The ocean.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bowl. It's below sea level, and it's in a bowl, and it's sand.
I thought maybe we just found a new way to escape OSHA.
Yeah.
Just go below sea level. OSHA won't expect you.
You were never sloping or benching. It was always trench box. So I grew up with trench boxes everywhere. So, so that's what shoring is. So what is benching?
Benching is when you make like a stair-step pattern out of the ground at a specific angle. And as you go away from the center out toward the edges, and it just looks like stairs walking from the bottom up.
How is that going to protect an employee from a cave-in?
Well, now they're not underneath these really steep walls that could collapse and
Okay.
crush them. You've got this nice angle away from them.
Okay.
But the soil has to be cohesive enough to create those steps.
Okay. What's that last one you're talking about? Sloping.
Now, sloping is the one that we teach on the most because that's mostly what we end up with. So when you've got type C soil, I mean, you can slope type A, B, and C. But with type C soil, you slope at a 1 to 1.5 angle. And so it just kind of prevents that cave-in or that collapse from trapping and killing and crushing your employees.
So different soil types, you have to have different angles of
Correct.
your slope. Okay. What if you're digging in C and then you hit B?
Cool. Thumbs up.
Do you have to change your angle?
I mean, you can change your angle, but what's cool about just knowing type C is that it actually applies and works for all soil types.
Yeah.
But the other soil types don't apply for all.
And I've had a lot of contractors through here that we train that just treat it all like C.
That's actually how I train because in our area, that's just your safest bet. It may not be like
It's a best practice.
Yeah, it may not be like the exact answer and go, oh, well, we're digging through this and then we get to this. Oh, okay, we could change the angle. But if you teach everybody to treat everything like C,
Yeah.
they will be in the safest situation possible.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes you dig out more dirt, takes more time,
Yeah.
and maybe you're too close to a building, and, so there's always issues. But, yeah, if you can do it, doing in that angle is the best. So let's talk about call before you dig.
Call before you dig.
Because when we're talking about trenching and
What's the new
excavation,
ad campaign?
I don't know. Call
Click before you dig.
Click before
I know
you
they're
dig.
so-
Because
they-
it's so old. Only old people make phone calls. So we have to click before we dig.
And I actually, so I was with a couple of my crew, and we were driving past a sign that said "Click before you dig," and they were actually ragging on that, and they were like, "Click before you dig." I haven't touched a computer mouse like since I was like 6 years old, and I'm like, "Oh man, wow, this is supposed to be the modern version," and they were like real upset.
Because you don't click with your phone.
No, exactly.
So it's probably the middle.
Press, push,
Yeah, touch screen before you dig.
touch screen. Okay,
But anyway,
sorry.
what's the problem if you don't? Okay, first of all, why do we call before we dig? Or
So we don't
click?
hit underground utilities.
Okay,
or,
well, what's the problem? What if I hit a water line? Big deal.
well, free swimming pool first off.
Yeah,
Like-
like mud wrestling
Yeah, dude,
style.
I'm in.
What's the big deal if I hit a gas line?
Well, I mean, obviously, you've got several, but the big one is you don't want an explosion.
Yeah, have you seen some of the footage of
I
gas
have.
line explosions?
It's bad.
Like craters, like
It's-
bombs.
it's
like
insane.
Neighborhoods gone. There was one not too long ago that was semi-local here, where it was in the middle of a farm field, and the overhead shots of that were crazy because it
Oof.
looked like a meteor hit. The crater in
Wow.
this farmland was insane. Yeah, it was intense.
So yeah, you don't want to be that guy.
What if I hit a electric line?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously the biggest hazard is electrocution.
Yeah, I mean, if my gear is not still insulated,
right.
if all my rubber on the pedals aren't perfect and the rubber on my grips and everything and my
Yeah.
equipment is not
Electricity
really up.
is dangerous, and it wants to get out.
Yeah.
It does not like being in that closed circuit.
What if I hit a fiber optic line?
Well, because your job, goodbye. Your company now has to pay an insane fine for every second that service is interrupted.
I want to research that because when I left Southern California, we moved to Denver.
Yeah.
I was in college and I got a job
Let's see if I can Google while we're talking.
on the side, and it was being a locator. We actually would get called in before they, when you make the call, they would send in the locators. The locators come out, and we have these magic wands,
Okay.
and they would wand the ground and say, there's a line there. Well, my actual job was then to dig where they said that the line was and verify, like eyes on it. Like we got to look at the line and make sure it's there. And then we backfill and we stake it. And then the excavators come in, and when they dig, they know where the line's at, the depth, everything, and so they don't hit them. And we were told, this was Denver at the time, they said it was $1 million a second.
Wow.
And this is like 1998 or 7 or something like that. And I always just thought, man, that's just like what they say to scare, people. So, I mean, we should look it up.
I just did, yeah. I couldn't find a great answer in my 60 seconds of Google search, but they were saying just running that line was $18,000 to $22,000 per mile, just for one line. I can't imagine the amount of service of going through it and then getting it repaired.
Yeah. So you don't want to hit any line.
No. Don't hit
Oh, we
fiber optic
forgot
line.
one. What's the big deal hitting sewer line?
Oh, man. You've got really good dangers in a sewer. Alligators.
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Me. I'm always running around in the sewer. No, really, though. I mean, you could end up with an H2S release, hydrogen sulfide. You could end up with a methane release and then an explosion
There's
of both.
a lot of solvents running through sewers.
We've got that real fun
drains.
video of that guy who drops that little flaming bottle down
Oh,
in the
yeah,
sewer.
yeah, and he blows it up.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah,
that's
blows
fully
up the
buried line.
asphalt and everything.
It comes like 4 or 5 feet in the air.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the compression from
Not
that
to
alone.
mention, it's just a crappy day.
Oh, that's a bad joke. That was such a bad joke.
It was a pun.
I
and-
like
and-
the look at his face. Like he's the crappy day. Oh
yeah,
my
it's a
gosh.
bad day at the office when
Get
you hit
outta
a
here.
sewer line, right?
So if you're somebody who has to do trenching or excavation, there is a mountain of stuff underneath you. Like all that you have to keep track of on top of all of your safety rules.
Right.
You got your 4-foot rules. You got your 5-foot rules. You've got your entry and exit rules. You have to have your designated place to come in and out. You got to have your caving protection, all that stuff done. You got to do your soil analysis.
Let's talk about soil analysis for a minute. Does OSHA require us as the trencher or the excavator to conduct a soil analysis?
Doesn't it? The responsibility falls on the competent person, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but the company who's digging.
Yeah,
Does OSHA require them to do a soil analysis?
I believe so.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And how many trenchers or excavation companies are doing soil analysis?
Every single one of them, Aaron. No one has ever dropped the ball in the history of trenchers and
I mean,
excavators.
I would like to see one do one
I would like to see one do one
because I've
too.
never seen one do one.
All right, well, I'll say one way to do it, and then you'll say the next way, because I think there's like a good 3 or 4 ways.
Well,
So-
there's a whole bunch of ways. Let's talk about the two different types. So you got your visual and your mechanical
okay.
or physical. I'm saying that wrong. You got your visual test and your mechanical. I think it's called mechanical. I'll have to look it up. But the visual is just observation. But then on your physical test,
Yeah.
there's like 5 or 6 different methods you can
Yeah.
use. That's what you're talking about,
Yeah,
right?
that's
All
what I'm talking
All right, what do you got?
Well, let's do the one that we have, the pocket pentrometer.
Okay.
It's literally just like a little punch. You hold it in your
Right.
hand, you push it into the sidewall of the soil.
You get a clod of dirt.
Yep, and you punch it right into the side.
You push that
Yep, and it depresses a plunger.
pokey thing.
It depresses a plunger, a pokey thing. I like that.
And
And then after it punches through it, it will actually spring through at a certain tension, a certain pressure. And when it does, when it releases, you just look at, there's a little collar that
Yeah.
reads around that plunger, and it will tell you the amount of force it took to depress the plunger that far.
And they're calibrated differently, tons per square foot, unconfined compressive strength. There's different ways that they read. But then if you have a chart, you could tell what type of soil you're in.
Yep, so it's easy. Right there in the little manual for the one that we have, it tells you right there. It says,
I'm going to
boom,
jump
this
to
is
my
yours.
favorite,
Okay.
sedimentation test.
Okay, so we got to do those actually in middle school, and I had no idea what we were doing.
Why would you ever do that in middle school?
We did the exact same test, and I don't know why.
Was it for like earth science?
I couldn't tell you, but it was science
So
class,
you
and we
need
did
like
sedimentation.
a flat bottom jar. It's like 7 inches tall. You got to fill it.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting my facts and figures wrong. Never trust the evil safety dude. Always look up the regs when we're just talking. But
I
you
think
got to
you're
fill it up
approximate.
with like I don't know how much dirt, 1.5 inches, 4
Yeah,
inches,
they
and then
give
like
you-
1.5 inches of water. It's
But
very
it's more than that.
it's very
was-
specific.
Yeah.
And then you put on the lid to the jar,
Yeah.
and then you shake it vigorously, and then you set it down.
Yep.
And then what happens is you shake loose all the soil, everything in there separates and then settles according to its weight. And then within 1 hour, you have a super visual representation of what you're really dealing
And you
with.
can mark out percentages
Yeah.
of what that soil,
And
what
so
percent is
if
sand.
it's 80% sand and 20% silt,
Right.
I'm going Class C.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, around here, honestly, like almost everything's classy.
Yeah.
We hardly get.
If I shook it up and an hour later it's all clay, I'm going A.
I mean,
Unless it was
yeah.
previously disturbed, then
It
it's B.
dep- yeah.
Yeah.
it's
so-
hard to get A
That's my favorite though.
if you can.
Is a sedimentation test.
Yeah.
I like the visual.
Okay.
All right, next you're up. What else you got?
Torvane shear for the super fancy people.
Yeah, for that extra instrument, and we got about 40 seconds left, so let's rapid fire them. Plasticity.
Plasticity test. You roll it up, make a wire.
Make a noodle, a worm.
Yeah. And then
An
you gotta,
1/8 inch diameter by like 2 inches
you have
long.
to hold it without it breaking.
And if it could do that, it's
It's type A.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Thumb penetration.
Thumb penetration, where you literally just stick your thumb into the dirt.
Yeah, and depending on how far your thumb goes in, it's A, B, or C.
So scientific.
Yeah, it's very scientific. And so it's weird that people aren't doing it.
Are we really out of time already?
Yeah, we are. We got 10 seconds. So OSHA is going to ask you for your competent person when they come on your site, and they're going to ask you if you did a soil analysis. They're going to ask you how you determine that. And you need to tell them what you did for your visual, what you did for your mechanical test. Well, guys, we don't want anybody to die in trenches.
Please don't die in trenches.
So please put your shoring in. Please slope it. Please bench it. Do whatever it takes to make people safe.
Know your basic rules.
It's not worth your life.
No, not at all.
And I hope you guys got something out of this. Until next time, the evil safety
the
dudes
super nice danger boys.
Adios.
Goodbye. Oh, and hi.